Hello, welcome back to more adventures of young CGB. This is me, it's CGB, on the young account, the free-to-play account, the no wildcards account. And today we've got some interesting quests. We have to deal 50 damage to get a 250 gold reward. We have to cast 20 creature spells for 500. You have to cast 20 red or green spells for 500. And we have to cast 30 green or white spells for 750. So, creatures, green, and damage. I think we can do all that with our big green creature deck. So I'm going to play that today, and I'm going to play it in free play, because I don't think it's quite got enough juice to be competitive yet. Maybe you know what? If we had the Steel Leaf Champions, I might sing a different tune. But right now, I just don't think the green ramp deck is like competitive. Like quick constructed competitive. Plus we've got these quests to knock out, which are very high gold reward. So I'm going to stick to free play on this one. Steel Leaf Champion is probably the best card that the deck needs, but also lots of Blossoming Defense, lots of Ghalta. Ronus is mythic. It's another very awesome card the deck would play. That's the green aggro deck, which I think is top tier. What we're playing is more of a green ramp deck, which is all about playing giant monsters and hoping they don't die. And here we go. We've got giant monsters. Let's hope they don't die. And yeah, we'll start from here. It's a bit of a little, like people would call it, like little kid green back in my day, because most little kids would build a deck with some elves and some monsters and try to beat you, and you would laugh at them brutally, nastily, quite honestly, if you were a teenager, a vicious teenager, as some of us were, playing with our Doom Blades, just, you know, Swords to Plowshares, our quote-unquote good cards, just killing the big creatures. I regret everything. All right, let's play Rishkar. This is awesome. We kind of have the combo here with Rishkar and the Walking Ballista, +1/+1 counter on each, making the ballista bigger. Now we can attack with it. Also, those +1/+1 counters on a ballista, as hopefully you've learned by now, can be thrown all over the place for damage, which is why Walking Ballista is excellent. But Rishkar has another ability, and it says each creature you control with a counter can tap for a green, which means that these can tap for mana, which means next turn we have potentially 5 green mana, which means potentially next turn 10/10 Gigantosaurus. Hooay! Alright, our opponent has a Dragon's Horde. Looks like they're playing some red-green ramp and dragon type deck. Yep. Hooay! Boom! That'll help us complete that quest. We do have to remember we're in quest mode. I often forget this. It's not something normal for me. Years of Magic haven't taught me quest mode. It's taught me all about, like, end the game efficiently, don't play too many cards, don't reveal stuff to your opponent. But in quest mode, we have to cast all the green spells and do all the damage. Our opponent's looking this over. They do have the mana for a dragon. This could be a dragons versus dinos battle. I think the dinos win the fight, which is always unusual to me, because I think dragons, at least in terms of abilities and lore, are way cooler, while dinos are like big. That's the dino thing. If we get to untap with that Gigantosaurus, you know what's coming. It's Ghalta. You can see when Ghalta is in the hand for a while, the casting cost adjusts lower. Not right now, but on our turn, it will tell us it only costs 2 green for a 12/12 trample. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Not only that, Aggressive Mammoth. Other creatures you control have trample. The only problem with Gigantosaurus is no trample. We play Aggressive Mammoth. Trample. Trample, I tell ya. Trample is an awesome ability. If you're new to the game, get to know it. Trample makes it so that a blocker can't stop all the damage from a creature.
Oh, this is gonna hurt.
Chandra is here. Chandra is making mana. What is it doing? Heart of Kirin. Okay. So our opponent's still running the Planeswalker core with Heart and Chandra. Let's do this. Servant of the Conduit. So we can't play the Mammoth yet. We need another creature with a counter on it, which is almost reason enough for me to deploy another Ballista, but these also produce mana next turn, so I could deploy some of them and save the Ballista, which is probably fine. So it's probably Druid of the Cowl and Ghalta, Primal Hunger, coming down. Gigantosaurus attacking face. And probably getting chumped. So let's get it done while we can. You don't want to risk the opponent doing anything to kill one of your creatures and making it so that Ghalta can't be cast. So it's very normal to cast Ghalta whenever you have an opening. So green, green. I'm just going to leave this one up. I'm not going to attack with either of these because I don't want Heart of Kirin to block them. And Gigantosaurus, get him. Roar. What will they do? Our opponent taking their time trying to probably wiggle out of this one. It's tough. Most decks aren't prepared for a 10-10 on turn 4 or a 12-12 trample on turn 5. And that's why the big green decks have a shot. And you might say, I thought you said this wasn't competitive enough. Try to remember. We only have one Gigantosaurus and one Ghalta. This is an absurdly lucky draw. Absurdly fortunate. So much so the music couldn't handle it. The music just had to tuck tail and run. Had to get out. They don't even know what to play. They're just scared of these big old dinos. Is that a dragon? Look at what the Gigantosaurus is standing on. Is that a dragon? I think it is. Anyway, Chandra's making mana.
Today's my lucky day.
I don't know if that's true. It looks a lot more like my lucky day, but let's see what you can do. Maybe you have some tricks I'm not ready for. There is black in this deck, which often implies cards like Murder, Vraska's Contempt, things that can kill big dinos that red cards struggle to kill. Sarkhan the Fireblood. It's another Planeswalker.
What know you of dragons?
It's going
Might
to
demands
rummage.
Power.
Or no, it's going to make mana. So, more mana. What kind of big monster can you play? Dargaz. Yes. Well, we have a 7/7 in the house. Let's see if the 7/7 wishes to attack me. It does have haste. It can attack if it wants to, but I don't think it's all going to work out. And no attacks. Okay. So I think the right play with our opponent tapped out of mana and unable to kill anything would be to drop the Aggressive Mammoth and attack with our 2 dinosaurs. That's a total of 22 trample damage. Our opponent can put 11 damage in front of it, and they're at 8, so they can't survive. So we're going to play the Aggressive Mammoth, and then we're going to attack with all of our dinosaurs. And hopefully our opponent will take the damage, as we do have a quest. Ah, oh, denied. Denied. That's the way it goes. We can't be too salty about it. Our opponent had to lose, which means we don't get to do as much of our quests as we want to. But if they don't have to play, they can leave whenever they want to. They can certainly hit the road and find another game. Run to greener pastures. Try to get a little luckier. You can't fault them for it. Sitting there and taking a bajillion damage doesn't feel fun. Alright, we got our Elf, we got our Harvester, we got our Ballista. Looks wonderful. We did upgrade, because we got our Kicker deck, We did get some Llanowar Elves in there, so we got up to the full 4 Llanowar Elves, which is probably one of the most important things you can have for the deck. We were only at 2 in week 1, so the deck's a little better than last week, I think. Alright, now we'll jam Harvester. You've seen this card a few times now on the Young CGB channel. I probably don't have to explain it again. But it's particularly good with Verdurous Gearhulk, just like Walking Ballista, when you can pump them up very big. Our opponent has this authority that counsels our creatures enter the battlefield tapped. They gain a life each time. It's annoying more than it's useful. History of Benalia making night tokens, on the other hand, a little something to be concerned about. Nature's Way off the top. We'll save that for what's probably a big angel, which is probably in this deck. Here's our Walking Ballista, there's the authority trigger, and we'll end turn. We wanted that on the battlefield so that we had something to put Gearhulk counters on. They're very good on a Walking Ballista, so while we don't get to attack with this Harvester and we have to take this 2 damage because of the authority making things enter tapped, it's okay. It's all according to plan. Let's see if they do anything else with their turn. I think if they had more creatures, they'd play them. They don't. It's a little odd. What could they do with that open mana? Well, the Skysovereign is an excellent pull, and something we could certainly play. Do we want to do that before the Gearhulk? Our opponent may have a Skywhaler's Shot. That is a card that destroys a creature with power of 3 or greater at instant speed. It would be a reason to leave mana open. So thinking about those kind of cards might be a little too deep. There's a lot of things our opponent could have besides that. Playing around your opponent's spells at this stage, probably not great, but it still feels like our opponent could have a Seal Away or some other effect. Something that would make me not want to attack very much. I think what I'm going to do is play the Skysovereign, which my spidey senses are tingling that the Gearhulk is too good of a play. So I'm going to hold it back. Also, I'm not going to tap any of these in case of a Seal Away. What I'm going to do is save them for defense if my opponent decides to crash in with their Knight. Actually, if they crash in with their Knight, it means they definitely have something. And I'll try putting the Harvester in the way, but probably not the Skysovereign. Okay, they definitely have something. Definitely. I'm going to risk the Harvester, because we have to get cards out of their hand anyway. If we don't get the card out of their hand, what are we doing? Can't play around it forever. And here comes what? The Skywhaler's Shot! I called it! Oh my goodness, how does he do it, you might ask? But here's a fun thing. We get to go on the crew chain and still eat our opponent's creature. They have now targeted the Aethersphere Harvester with the Skywhaler's Shot. We can use the Harvester, I'm not kidding, to crew the Skysovereign. And now, our Skysovereign gets to block the Knight. Now, going a little deeper down the rabbit hole, for those willing to follow me, if the opponent had waited for the Harvester to block the Knight, then this play of crewing the Skysovereign would not have been possible. Or I could have crewed it, but it wouldn't have been able to block, because if you let the Knight and the Aethersphere Harvester engage their block and then use Skywhaler's Shot to kill the Harvester, I can't re-block. I can't change my mind. And the Knight would still be alive. Now, I don't know if the opponent finds the Knight that important, but I think I would play it the way I described and keep the Knight. So now we'll play our Verdurous Gearhulk. And I'm going to put the counters on this Ballista. And we'll distribute them a little, though. Let's see. This going in for 7. Actually, I don't need it to. I just need to make sure that multiple things can crew it. So we'll put 2 counters here and 2 counters here. So the elf can crew the Skysovereign if we want to. And we'll submit that. Combat, attack. As we've shown before, counters on the Ballista can be used in different ways to ping and deal more damage to various opposing creatures, which is why Verdurous Gearhulk and Ballista are definitely BFFs and very fun cards to play together. The Johnny's Welcome will gain a life whenever our opponent plays a creature. It seems like they have a life gain deck without the Pride Mates. Like, we don't see any, what I would call a payoff for those types of decks. Now, our opponent could have a Seal Away. That could be very obnoxious. Skysovereign can kill just about anything our opponent plays. But I think I'll just go for the maximum amount of damage. If they do have a Seal Away, they can only take out one creature. And I'll pump the Ballista to do the most damage possible. And now we can remove counters from the Ballista to finish the game. We do have... yep, there it is. We do have a quest, I was going to say, to cast green spells. So I was going to see if I could Nature's Way my own creature or play it with no target, but you can't. The opponent has to control a creature for you to use your Nature's Way. And there we go. We got a pack. Let's not goof around. Let's crack it. Show me something awesome. It's okay. And the Alpine Moon, definitely not a card for Arena or Current Constructed. Not a card that you should be playing. It doesn't really fix much. Just play Field of Ruin instead, which is a much better way to deal with an opposing land if you're worried about that. And it can go in any deck because it's a colorless land itself. Just about any deck, that is. Here we go. There's the Elves, there's the Vital Force. Let's do it. Elves and Nissa. Nissa and Elves. Together forever. And it looks like our opponent might be on that green power too. Green-red. Never mind. Drover. Dinos. Alright, we're going to need to stop drawing lands and draw more payoffs. That or Nissa is going to have to handle this whole thing by herself. This whole party is going to be a Nissa party. Wow. That's obnoxious? I'm surprisingly okay with it, since they blew up their mana source and I blew up my mana source, and I have so many mana sources. But that is blow up your own peeps right there. Somewhere Primal Hunt Cheeks is a happy doctor. Alright, move along. And there's our first dino. It's a Carny T. Some big meanie. So what do we do? What's the right play? I mean, making a 5/5, it can't really block the Tyrant. And then the Tyrant goes after Nissa and I didn't do anything. It might be right to do nothing. We could absorb some of the damage, though, and have the Nissa on the field. It's weird, but I think we have to buy time, because what we need to do now... we need to draw our big creatures. That's what we need to do. We'll block. There will be some trample damage, but it's going to keep the Carnage Tyrant busy, at least for a minute. Now, does our opponent have a follow-up? Another dinosaur. Ooh, that's nasty. So, what we're in is what you would call a mana flood. It's the most it's one of the it's a really bad one. We kept a hand. It had some lands, some mana, accelerators, and a planeswalker, a payoff, right? But it's not powerful enough Nissa on her own. And since then, we have only drawn lands off the top of our deck. Nothing but land has come off the top. It's very frustrating. Alright, let's pump out a Ballista for 2. Let's pump out this forest, and now we have enough to double block the Carnage Tyrant if we choose to do that. Regisaur Alpha, another annoying creature. Yep. I don't know what we could draw. It would have to be something huge. A very, very large thing. Okay, so they're coming after Nissa. Let's crew here. Let's kill the Carnage Tyrant to the best of our ability. See what our opponent... It might have a trick, like a lightning... Like, I don't know. Lightning Strike wouldn't do it. Would Blossoming Defense do it? Blossoming Defense wouldn't do it. Let's gain lifelink. So we're going to at least get the Carnage Tyrant out, one thing at a time. And now we need to draw a monster who's bigger than all of their monsters.
My fortitude.
Not it. Not it at all. Let's counter up. Yep. This is absolutely brutal at this point. Absolutely brutal. Our opponent has 3 mana open too. The Ronus can give trample to anything it wants to. So we could pump the Ballista and block. The Ronus would give trample. I mean, we could take out like a Regisaur this way, but I don't think it helps anything. I think we have to just say no blockers here. Take a ton of damage. And again, we're just kind of hoping to draw something enormous. And I don't know what could help. I don't think anything can help. All right. Well, we do have a quest to do, so let's do it to the best of our ability. Blanchwood Armor here. We'll go Blossoming Defense. Combat, attack. We're working on our damage and our spell quest. And then we'll leave. Alrighty. That was an unfortunate set of draws, but hey, we battle onward. We are grinding. It's more about the quests than the wins. So, yep, getting there, getting there, getting there. Little by little. You never expect the person who goes turn 2 Drover to go turn 3 Sweltering Suns, do you? I still think we'd have lost pretty badly without that Sweltering Suns, though. Our opponent just had more good stuff, and we drew no good stuff. We finally have a Blanchwood Armor, like early in the game. There are actually 3 of these in the deck right now. And of course we're against black, which is the color notorious for killing things if you make them big and cool. But we'll see what happens. Gifted Aetherborn. No, that's obnoxious. Death Touch, you. Let's get Airborne. So you might be wondering, like, if we put Blanchwood Armor on this Aethersphere Harvester while it's a creature, what happens? Well, it keeps the Blanchwood Armor as long as it is a creature. So at the end of the turn, it would lose the Blanchwood Armor. Yep, opponent getting pushy. Okay, are they missing lands though? They are. Hoo-ha! What's this say? Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to a target creature you don't control. I have to read it every time because there are a lot of cards similar to this. You would think I would just be able to know what a card in my deck does after playing for so long, but there's so many cards similar to it, it's an easy one to get wrong. Don't be afraid to read the card, my friends. Don't be afraid to read the cards. Alright, I think I'll pump a lifelink here and get in there. We don't want to try to block the Aetherborn. The Death Touch means it will, any creature that touches it will die. Hence Death Touch. But it is something we can use Nature's Way on, and the creature that we cast Nature's Way on will not die if we use the Nature's Way to kill the Aetherborn. Okay, my turn. And I think it's a good idea to go for. Because if our opponent's going to use a murder, we have a Blossoming Defense. And since we want to use this Blossoming Defense in response to a murder, we're going to Nature's Way right now. And here comes the removal spell. I should have activated the lifelink first. So, gonna write that wrong before I forget. And now we're going to Blossoming Defense. I was just so sure my opponent had a removal spell. I knew I'd get to do that lifelink. I knew it would. I knew I'd have the opportunity. All right, got rid of the murder, got rid of the Aetherborn, got 5 damage, lifelinked to hit the opponent. Things are going great. Now the real question is, how many more spells like this is this player going to run? Gonti. All right, so they get to take a card out of our deck. They look at our top 4 cards, so it is a little random. And they choose a card they really like, and they keep it. It does have Death Touch, again, making our Blanchwood Armor not good. So let's crew up our Harvester. We don't want to attack our Servant into the Gonti. Let's go ahead and use the lifelink while we can. And let's play our Bristling Hydra, which makes more energy and can gain hexproof. And while Gonti is kind of putting a stop to it and making it not that good, at least it can't get murdered. Our opponent's reading the card. We can as well over here. When it enters the battlefield, 3 energy. That's how we got up to 4. Pay 3 energy, +1/+1, and hexproof. You can do it in response to being targeted by a spell, so the spell doesn't happen. It's like countering a spell with green. So with that in mind, do we play the Mammoth? Our opponent's probably got a removal spell, but the situation doesn't get better over time. All right, combat. Attack. And do we attack with the Hydra? Something has to trade for the Gonti, but I don't want it to be the Hydra. I really, really don't. I want the Hydra to hold the armor, because it can be immune to a removal spell. Yep, there's another murder. Our opponent's last card must also be a kill spell, or else I'm confident they would kill the Mammoth. So they must have one more removal spell to go, which means they just drew a land. Unless they're banking on the Gonti to stop the Mammoth, but that doesn't seem good to me. Their pattern so far has been to always play removal at the last minute, which isn't a bad pattern, but it does make it consistent with them passing the turn with priority here. It does seem as though they have another removal spell. So the question now is, if they're going to remove the Mammoth, and they're going to block the Hydra, then do I want to Blanchwood Armor the Servant of the Conduit? And if that's the plan, do I want to do that now? Do I want to do that first? Because that just means I can attack with extra stuff. The opponent may block the Servant, but that means they're taking a hit from the Hydra, and the Hydra's living. Or the Mammoth is. And I think that the answer is yeah. I think we want to do it like this. I think we want to make use of this card now. Essence Extraction. Well, that's unfortunate. I didn't think it would... I thought it would be another murder type effect that would kill the Mammoth. I didn't think it was a card like that. So I got played a little bit. It was a damage-based card. I thought it was another destroy target creature-based card. Done. I could have pumped it to do 1 extra damage because it has trample right now, but I didn't think that was important enough. And our opponent top decks a land, so we won the attrition war with a little good luck. The opponent drew 1 more land than we did, is basically... Oh, yeah! I forgot. They still have the card from under Gonti. They have the Walking Ballista. I was counting my chickens too early. Before they hatched. So now Walking Ballista can chump, and absorb some of this damage. And I'll hold the land. Who knows? Who knows what could happen? And the card off the top this time is Liliana Death's Majesty. Well, that can get back a Death Toucher.
Apologies for the smell.
So what my opponent needs to do is get back...
an old friend.
They need to get back Gonti, and Gonti needs to find the only other copy of Nature's Way in our deck. If they do, Gonti can kill the Mammoth. But it has to be... There's only one more copy in the whole deck out of 44 cards. So is it in the top 4? Doesn't appear to be. And they're going to scoop. All right, we got one quest knocked out for 500 gold. The other ones are right on the edge. Let's get one more. One more should be able to knock out the quest for the day. And where are we at time-wise is at about 31 minutes. So if you can log in, play a deck, and get your gold quests from over the weekend in one day, that'll move you on up. That'll get you cards. All right, jam out that elf. Watch out for those ballistas. They do hold priority in case, like, the computer's like, are you sure you don't want to play this for 0? I mean, I'm sure we don't want to play it for 0. But it will make you sit here, so make sure you pass your turn when you have a ballista in your hand. The faster you do it, the less likely your opponent is to figure out that you have a ballista in your hand. Because trust me, that's something that people like to know. It's a very common and good and very good card. So our opponent on a life gain deck, we can see the Mesa Unicorn that has lifelink. The moment of craving, it gains life when giving a creature -2/-2. And now our opponent maybe has some kind of a combat trick they could play, or we just had some lag. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like we've got some lag. 4 mana. Play the Bronto. Bronto can crew the Caravan into a 5/5. Crew cost a 3 to be a 5/5 creature, and then we punch our opponent for 5 with it. Take that. Gotta fight back on that life gain. Gotta hit him hard. Invoke the Divine, destroy target artifact or enchantment, and gain 4 life. Our opponent is not messing around. They want all the life, and they will let us have none of the life. So the question is it worth it to attack when the Mesa Unicorn can be attacking? And I don't think the answer is yes. I think the answer is no. I think we want to keep our Brontodon back, play out our other cards, and try to get ahead of them on the board. They might run Fumigate, which would be sad, but we would rather they use it now than later against some of our bigger threats. That's a pretty good creature, but check it out. Ability on the stack. This was a good reason to play the Ballista. With the ability on the stack, before our opponent can make it bigger, we can remove the +1/+1 counter to kill the Angel of Invention. So Fabricate 2 is an option that says you can create 2 tokens, or you can put 2 +1/+1 counters on the Angel. Now, counters on the Angel would be a big problem. A 4/3 Flying Vigilance lifelink would be hard for our deck to deal with. Yeah, our opponent's given us the nice on that one. I don't think they saw it coming. And speaking of whatever they see coming, where do we want this? We could have a 4/4 elf, or we could have a much bigger Bronto. I think we'll go on the Bronto. And then we'll pressure our opponent a bit. He'll probably chump with these little servos, which is fine. We get him off the board. Less problems for later. In the meantime, we may get attacked by this unicorn once or twice. I'm happy to trade some of my life total for some resources. Oh no. Seal away. Alright. It resolves, and we'll let our Bronto get taken. We could sacrifice it in response to blow up the seal away, but there's no point. So that was sad. Now we need a land off the top to start playing our big threats. Blade Reforged. It costs 7 mana to equip. Our opponent doesn't have that yet, but it only costs 3 if it's a legendary creature. Our opponent doesn't have a legendary creature yet either, so we're safe right now. So what's the play? Is it Nissa? Is it Gigantosaurus? I think it's Gigantosaurus. It could also be Gearhulk, but I like Gigantosaurus. Roar. Our opponent's playing white and black. They are the colors that don't care very much about power and toughness. Cards like Murder and this Pious Interdiction that says it can no longer attack and block. They're very good against cards like Gigantosaurus. All right. I think it's Nissa time. We could play the Harvester and next turn Gearhulk it up, though. That's not bad. I'd just rather get the Nissa going. Unfortunately, if I do that, Nissa's going to take a hit from the Unicorn, but I guess that's fine, because then we'll defend her for the rest of the time, maybe? Maybe we're just supposed to play this as an 8/8. 8/8 trample, make the opponent have another removal spell for it. We could also put 2 counters on our Llanowar Elf, so it could do some blocking and stuff once it's done doing Llanowar Elf things. But I think at the end of the day, what I like most is the ability to gain life with my Aethersphere Harvester. So I'm going to put out the Harvester this turn and plan to put counters on it next turn. The lifelink that we can give the Harvester can help us recover our life total and get damage in on our opponent's very high life total. We'll also see if our opponent knows that we can turn on the Harvester to block. And do they have another Invoke the Divine? Oh, okay, they do not. An Inspiring Cleric. Another Invoke the Divine would be pretty tilting. So right now we're under a certain bug that doesn't let you drag cards and play them from your hand. It's important if you fall under this bug and you feel stuck and you can't drag your cards, that double-clicking the card in your hand can still play it. It's kind of a little sneak around. Alright, so the next level play is that our opponent has a way to kill this Harvester. But if they do, I would rather it die now than before. I'd rather it die now than before I put counters on it with a Gearhulk. So we will put it out this turn and see if the opponent can kill it. It also means our opponent will be out of cards at this point. They only have 1 left. So if the Gearhulk lives, good. Ooh. So Seal Away isn't going to work the way that our opponent thinks it will. Our Harvester is not tapped. And that's why we tapped the Gigantosaurus instead of the Llanowar Elf, because we didn't want to expose our Llanowar Elf to a Seal Away. This Gigantosaurus is already locked down by the Pious Interdiction, so I'm fine with our opponent using another spell to get rid of it. It was already doing nothing. So we'll block here, and we'll gain life. Feel a little bad that the card didn't work the way our opponent wanted it to work, but unfortunately, that's Magic. It's still a game where you have to play the cards in the right order or they don't do the things you want to. Alright, now we'll play the Verdurous Gearhulk. Gonna put a whole bunch of counters on this creature. Like all of them. Like all of them. Then we're gonna give it the lifelinks. And we're gonna crack in for 7. And that'll put us up to 24, and well, 22, and our opponent to 28, a little, evening it up a little bit. Nope, our opponent at 30. That was interesting how the life totals fidgeted. I wonder if, did anybody else see that? All right, let's go for a Vital Force.
The land fights for us.
Let's pump up a Forest. We might end up getting a permanent back with the -3 at some point. I'm perfectly happy making a 5/5 here. Oh, well, our opponent drew a Vraska's Contempt and throws it at Nissa.
Behold, nature's true power.
A tip I would give my opponent is to wait until we're in combat, in case I wanted to play around Settle the Wreckage, which is a card that punishes you for attacking with too many creatures. But now that I know my opponent doesn't have the Settle the Wreckage, I'm very happy to attack with my creatures. Our opponent's going to double chump up the Gearhulk. I'm okay with that. Unfortunately, with Nissa gone, now our Llanowar Elf must live. It must live. It's our only hope. Danitha is here. Danitha can get equipped with Blackblade, making it a 7/7, but this is a 7/9. So we can block it. But we no longer have lifelink, so racing's a bad idea. So I'm going to play my land and say go. And we're going to have to start drawing some more creatures. We weren't drawing lands at first, now we've drawn several. Too many, one might say. Oh my. Our opponent just drew Vraska's Contempt, Danitha, and Cast Out in that order. That's so vicious. We're in so much trouble now. Danitha is legendary, which means the sword can get attached to it, which will be huge. And this is, man, is this card a turn late. I'm going to hang on to it for a few more turns, though. It draws you cards equal to greatest power among creatures you control. If we had drawn that one turn earlier, totally different game. But I'm going to wait and see if I can draw a huge creature here. If not, I may just have to play it. That's not it. I'm going to try to hold out for one, though. No attackers, because this has vigilance. Our opponent's going to be gaining a bunch of life, dealing a bunch of damage. Fighting back into this is going to be very hard. Authority of the Consuls means any big creature we draw now can't block. I'm going to take the damage again. Greenbelt Rampager. It's better than nothing. It's going to take a little while to resolve because of the energy. And what's worse is I can't cast the Rishkar's Expertise this turn. Giving our opponent 3 life feels bad, but it's not as big of a deal as it seems. And we're going to have to chump block here. A chump block meaning throwing your creature in front of a much larger creature to stay alive. So the weakest creature we have is the Llanowar Elf. So it will take this particular one for the team. Our opponent's now up to 48. We draw another forest. That's really bad. We're going to play the Rishkar's Expertise to draw 3 cards. None of them are very good. We get to play a cost of 5 or less, so we get to put out a Harvester. Play a land, play a Druid, so we still have chump blocks. And still can't attack, though. Danitha too big, Danitha too strong. Opponent with the cast down. Yep. Just drawing more removal. Just going right along with it. All right. Block it up. $59.25. Combos all over the place. Another creature. Can't do much, unfortunately. What am I hoping to draw? The Authority of the Consuls makes drawing creatures pretty rough. There's a unicorn, sure. Keep on trucking. I think the Rishkar's Expertise was our best chance to get back in the game, and it basically whiffed. It's just... the top of the deck has been very cruel. I mean, that's interesting. It can fight the unicorn. So we'll play the kicker. Does something at least, but still doesn't help us with the Paragon. Now our opponent draws a land. Hopefully they do that for a while, and we draw much better. Yes, I know, they're getting up to like 100 life, but we can still come back if they just brick too much. And we actually draw power. That is not power. That is not power. Our opponent's got it to a 10-10 now, which means it would have to be Ghalta. And I guess it would have to be this next turn. We don't bother activating the lifelink, right? First strike? Yeah, first strike means that we would never get to deal damage to the Danitha anyway. Bristling Hydra, not good enough. But still keeps us able to cast a Ghalta if we draw it. So just enough to keep us around. We're dead if our opponent draws another removal spell, which they've done plenty of. But no, more land. I guess a Blanchwood Armor would do it. Blanchwood Armor would be +10/+10. Maybe I should have gotten that back a long time ago with the Nissa. If I could play this game over again, I'd use Nissa to get Blanchwood Armor out of the graveyard. Although a cast out would just take out whatever I put the Blanchwood on. Alright. What we're picking there is the order that effects take place. The 1 life and the tappedness, or the 5 counters. It honestly does not matter, is the sad bit. It really doesn't matter, but we still have to pick. So now a Nature's Way off the top could do it, because we could pump our Ballista, use Nature's Way to deal the damage to the Paragon, and sack the Ballista to kill it. So getting close. Getting warmer. Just, we've got some outs. We got some cards we can draw to be okay. And that's usually all it takes to keep hanging on. Blanchwood Armor. Blossoming Defense. What's that do? I don't think that gets us close. Because of the first strike, it still doesn't work. I'm going to put some counters on it now, just because. But I think that means we're going to die. Ah, that means we're going to die too. Did I complete my deal damage quest? I thought I did, but just in case. And since we have spells that we have to cast, we'll do that. I thought I completed it, but I'm not sure now in the moment. So let's go down in a blaze of glory, shall we? Alrighty, and we're out of there. Alright, quests complete, 1,250 gold. So we're way up on gold for the day. We bought ourselves down to 5,000 at the end of last week, and we're already up to 9,400, which means a lot more packs in the future. And yeah, we're going to leave it there. I'm going to put the deck list with the updates in the description for anybody trying to play along with my green deck. And that is grinding all of our quests with our mono green deck here on the Adventures of Young CGB. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, remember to subscribe. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later.